to move on to the book of Tanakh. So let us recap. In short, we're holding chapter 2, Baruch Hashem. We finished chapter 1, and recap where we are holding in today's class in the Navi as we're continuing to look learning the book of Yeshua. So basically, Moshe passed away, and Hashem told Yeshua he's going to be with him, and Yeshua has to get ready for war, and bring the Jewish people into Eretz Yisrael. Now they are camped, as we've seen in the maps. I've discussed it at length. Yeshua parked the Jews. Moshe Rabbeinu passed away. Jews were living in the desert of the Moab. I think it was the Moabite desert. That's kind of like by the center of Israel. They need to cross over the Jordan River and enter into the city of Jericho, which is the first major city, as we're going to see today, that they need to conquer the city of Yericho, the city of Jericho. So we're going to see a little bit about that fascinating story that we have. By the way, we read these stories in Haftorah. So the first part of Navi was read as we read at Chabad and Simchas Torah, right? We read about the beginning of the story after Moses passes away, because we finished reading on Simchas Torah that Moses passed away. And we want to follow up, and we read on Simchas Torah, I actually read the Haftorah about Yeshua taking over and bringing Moshe's leadership. Today, we're going to mention another Haftorah, and that is the Torah of Parshas Shlach, the portion where Moses sends spies into Israel. We know it backfired, it doesn't work, but we read the Haftorah, which we're going to learn in today's class. The Haftorah for that section comes from here, where we're going to learn about the spies that Yeshua sent. So let's see inside. Vayishlach Yeshua binum min Hashitim. Yeshua, he was the son of a man called Nun, Yeshua bin Nun, sent from a city, an area in the plains of Moab where they were, the city of Shittim. He sends Shnayim Anoshim Meraglim. He sends 2 spies. He's having not 12 like Moshe sent, but he's sending 2 spies. Chedesh, he did it quietly, in secretly, to spy out secretly. And we're going to see Rashi explains this in a moment, to go into the city to go spy out secretly. And he tells them, these are Yeshua's conversation with these spies. Go, and see the land. Go check it out. Go look at the land. That's Yericho. And when you check out the land, check out Jericho. Check out Yericho. Okay, when you go to check out the land, make sure you check out Jericho. Vayelchu, so they went, Vayavayu, and they came. Beis Isha Zaina, and I'm going to interpret it according to Rashi's. We're not learning other interpretations. A lot of other interpretations you might hear. But again, our class is just like our Chumash class is following Rashi's interpretation. They went to a lady who had a restaurant, who would give people food. Okay, a place where people could come for some food, a restaurant. We'll see Rashi in a moment. That was her business. Ushma, and her name was Rachav. Her name was Rachav. Yishkavu Shama, and they stayed over there. So they get in, they're going to spy, they're going secretly to spy, and they go into a house of a woman who sells food, provides nourishment, provisions, and her name is Rechava, and they lay over there. They go to sleep, maybe like an inn, like a hotel with a food court, and they go to stay in that house over there. Now Rashi, let's see what Rashi says. First of all, Rashi says he's a little bit trying to figure out the timeline. And he says like this: we know that Moshe passed away on the 7th day of the month of Adar. And we also know, we figured out based on whatever the calculation, I'm just going to share with you actual history, is that Moshe, the Jews are going to mourn for 30 days Moshe, which means they're going to end up a month later on the 7th day of the following month of Nisan. So Zayin Adar to Zayin Nisan. We also know that what's going to happen is 3 days later, they're going to enter, which is going to be the 10th day of Nisan. So they're going to finish mourning the 7th day of Nisan, the 10th day of Nisan. They're going to go and enter Israel, going to cross the Jordan River to enter Israel, which gives us a total of 33 days. 30 days from mourning and 3 days for them going to attack and cross the Jordan River in order to attack in Jericho. 33 days. The problem is that when Rashi is trying to figure out when were the spies sent. Now we know that the spies hid, as we're going to see soon in the story, in this woman's house, in Rachav's inn, for 3 days. And then they're going to hide there for 3 days. Then they're going to take them another day, the fourth day, to get back to Joshua And only the 5th day, the following day, will Joshua go and take the Jewish people and lead them out to attack the city of Jericho. Wait a second. So what does that mean? That means that Joshua had already sent the spies out 5 days before they're attacking, which means the Jews were still mourning. So Joshua must have already known that the mourning is coming to an end, Rashi says, and therefore he already started sending the spies 5 days before they're going to attack, 2 days before at least the mourning is over, getting ready, the Jewish people ready for the attack on Jericho, the attack on the countries that were living in Israel at the time. So very interesting idea here. So a little bit about the time. Now, it says he tells them to go in secretly. Rashi has 3 ways of explaining what exactly his plan was for the spies, how, because it's not easy to spy. So they were getting it, he was giving them advice how to spy. Rashi has 3 explanations. One, he says, one is just simply quietly, right? But another reason, one thing Rashi says is pretend that you're mute. A very good idea for being a spy, which is you could hear when you can't speak and nobody expects you to ask, you can't ask too many questions, is if you come in as if you're mute, you got a plan, no one could ask you. So it's a very good idea for someone to spy, someone who's in the, who's doing sign language or so, and, who can't talk, is a very good idea for spies. So that was one explanation on the advice of how to go in secretly. It wasn't just saying go in secretly, but go in and your cover story should be that you're not able to speak, and that will help you spy out. That's one. Another explanation is that it means actually that they should have some kind of business, like their travelers are coming to sell their wares in Jericho. Okay, what are your wares? They're coming to sell earthenware vessels. So they came loaded up with earthenware vessels. You see actually some of the pictures they make of these, they make the comics of these stories and stuff, they drew pictures of it, you'll see they're loaded with earthenware vessels. And now you know why. It comes from this Rashi here, explaining that the message Yeshua was saying, not just go in secretly and not just pretend like you can't talk, go in with earthenware vessels, so that these are all a decoy to the plan of how they're going to go and go in quietly. Very interesting part, Rashi explaining the story. And then he says, go into the land and check out the land and check out Jericho. Now, if you just told them to check out the land, Rashi says, of course, they're checking out Jericho. Jericho is one of the cities. Why is Yoshua pointing out that Jericho from the whole Israel? I just told you, go scout out the land of Israel. Why do you have to say scout out Jericho? And Rashi says that whenever you mention the most important part, you always identify what the most important part is, even though it's included. So Jericho is included Israel, but you got to talk about Jericho. You can't just say, go check out Israel. You also, of course, always point out the most important, prestigious land that's important, equal to the whole Israel. So you say, go check out Israel and scout out also Jericho, which is important to them all. Now, Rashi gives an interesting example. He says, we know that Solomon married many Gentile women. And it says over there, he married many Gentile women, and he married the daughter of Pharaoh. Now, the daughter of Pharaoh was a Gentile woman. Why do you have to say many Gentile women and the daughter of Pharaoh? So Rashi said the same idea you just mentioned here. Because she was worse, had a bad effect on him, equal to all the women that he wasn't supposed to marry. So therefore, she's being singled out. So also here, when they're choosing the city, which is equal to the whole prestigious of Israel, he's mentioning, not specifically telling to only scout out Jericho, scout out Israel, but make sure, of course, I'm going to mention to scout out the land of Jericho, which is the most prestigious of all the other cities. Okay. And Rashi says she was a woman who was a Zoina, and Zoina Rashi translates it as mizonot. Mizonot means food, nourishment. So she was a kind of a seller of food. I don't know, she had some kind of shop, and they went and they stayed over in her house. Vayomer Lamelech, verse 2, Yericho, Vayomer, and somehow their cover was blown. Hashem wanted it to happen. They went to the king of Jericho, saying, people have come here tonight, from the children of Israel, to scout out the land. We got a major problem. There's been a breach in security in Jericho. There are people here somehow with all the cover of the mute people and the fact that they came secretly and the fact that they're merchants, doesn't matter, the cover was blown and the king found out. And so the king must have sensed, somehow he sends people to this place where they're staying, to Rachav. Lamar saying, send out those people who came to you. That came to your house. because they came to scout out this land. I guess the spies really had very good intelligence in this place in Jericho, and they know that they know that there are spies, they somehow know, or they're going to Rahab and to her inn over there with the food, and they're going to say, you should know, they don't suspect that she is in on it, they suspect that she just doesn't know, and they're telling you except other people. So what is Rahab doing? Here's where she saves her whole family with this next tremendously courageous act that she does. The woman goes, as Shnei Hanoshim, she takes the two men, Vatitz Pinoi, and she hides him. She takes the two men and she hides him. Vataymer Cain, she hid them, and then she goes to meet the security. So she hides the men, she runs to greet the people. Cain Bo Eli Hanoshim, you're right, you're 100% right. These people you're saying came to me. And I don't know where they were. I don't know, I guess, what happened to them. I don't know from where they were. She's basically saying, I had no idea, it's not my fault, I guess, whatever, I had no idea. Two people showed up in my inn, came to get some food. Maybe it's a motel, they came to sleep and they want some food. But you're right, I'm not denying that they were here. Rashi says, explains the wording here. And he also shares with us who were they. So could you take him upstairs, please? She says that the wording here is a little bit funny. It says that two people came to her house and she hid him. Like, why doesn't it say she hid them? Why she only hide one guy? Two people came to the house. And Rashi says, well, who were the people? And he says there were two very big tzaddikim. Who were the two spies that Yeshua said? One of them was Pinchas, and the other one was Kalev ben Yefuna. Pinchas was the kohen, was the high priest who wore the, very, very holy man. He was like an angel. And he says that Pinchas was so holy that he could make himself invisible. He was like an angel. He was so holy, he was like an angel. If he wanted to be not seen, he wasn't seen. So Pinchas was one of the two people that showed up. Who was the other guy? The other guy was Kalev ben Yefuna. And these two great leaders, because Kalev, by the way, was one of the two spies that originally scouted out Israel with Yeshua, came back with a good report. So Yeshua obviously, I guess, wasn't going, he was a leader now, but he sent Kalev again, who came back with a good report, and he sent Pinchas again. Pinchas is the new person, the high priest, to go scout out the land. Pinchas didn't need to hide because he wasn't visible, so she only had to hide one of them. So we learned, first of all, why she only needed one. Also find out who the two people were, actually saying who they believe the two people were who went in to spy out Israel. Okay. Rashi also said that's just the grammar. Another explanation is just the grammar. She hid each of them separately, and that's why she says she hid him, meaning she hid both of them, but she hid them separately. That's another explanation. Verse 5. Vayhi ashar lisgar, and it was time to close the gate. Achoshech, at darkness. So basically, the town would always close, the fortified city, close up the gates, close up shop. At night, no one's allowed to go in and out. You'd have to wait till the morning to get in. Vanoshim yotzo, and the men went out. As soon as it's getting dark, they're about to close the gates up. These two people who were in my house, I admit, slipped away. I don't know where they went. I don't know where the people went. Run after them. Go catch them. For you will overtake them. So she sends them on a futile chase, backing up the story, the rumors that they were in her house. And she knows that as the gates were closing, they ran out before it gets dark and go catch them. So what does she do next? Now she goes back to her people that are in the house. She brings them up to the roof. She had stalks of flax that were arranged on the roof. I believe they were drying. People would use the roofs for different kinds of things. Today, we don't do all this kind of agriculture and stuff, but she had flax on the roof that were drying, and she goes and she hides these two men, maybe better. She didn't hide them before, or maybe this is describing when she hid them. She hid them on the roof, on their flax, so nobody should see them. And meanwhile, the police, the Secret Service, everybody's running after the two people. To the Jordan River, because where would they run? They run back to the Israeli camp. Where's the Israeli camp camping? On the other side of the Jordan River. So they're running to the Jordan River. Ala Mabroitz, to that area, which is the place for crossing the water, the bridge, the place that you would go over. and Bashar Sagaru, and they closed the gates. So they let out the chasers, they're chasing to catch the spies, and they lock up the doors so nobody could come in and out. The Hema Terem Yishkevun, and the guys are hiding on the roof. Don't forget about it. 2 guys on the roof, or 2 spies, Kalev and Pinchas. Before they fall asleep, Yelsa Aleim Agog, she goes up to the roof. She says, I need to have a conversation with you too. And she tells the man, I believe in you guys. I know that Hashem has already given you this land. And that the fear of our country, I sense it, I feel it. I know the heartbeat of our country. They're very afraid of you. And the hearts are melted, right? When people are really afraid, really scared, you won already, basically. I know what's happened, and there's no hope. Our country has already given up, and you're going to win. For why is everybody so petrified? Because we heard we heard how Hashem dried up the Red Sea for you. You guys split the sea. Hashem did that for you. Everybody here knows what happened. When you guys left Egypt, and we heard what you did to the 2 great kings, the Amorite kings, where you're living in their area now. That's on the other side of the river. We're neighbors. We live on the other side of the Jordan. We know what happened on the other side. The Sichon, the La'ig, to the great king Sichon, and to the great giant Og. That you completely destroy them, you wipe them out. We live right next door. We know what happened. We heard, and our hearts are melted. And there's no man who has spirit because of you guys. What you did, you completely and utterly melted the hearts of the people that are living over here. I think Rashi says no one's even having intimacy. And he says something else interesting about this woman here, okay? So I hope I'm saying it correctly. I didn't get a chance to fully prepare this, but here's something else interesting, is that she was also a harlot, okay? That she, and she was like an expensive one, high-end, and the kings would request her services. And she was 10 years old when the Jews left Egypt. And for 40 years, she was used as the city harlot for the kings and stuff. And she says that she knows that there's no intimacy basically happening now over here because she knows what's going on. And it's just another fascinating midrash about this interesting woman over here, that she's a what's it called? She's selling food, and also she's also a well-known prostitute or a harlot in the area. And she's saying, I know what's going on in the intimacy, and I know that people are so melted, they don't even want to have intimacy anymore. People are so petrified and afraid of where they're going. Interesting Rashi here. And you know that Hashem is the God in the heavens, in the upper heavens, in the lower worlds. I know exactly what is going on, and I totally and completely believe in Hashem. The Ata now. I saved your life, so now she has a request to make. Shavali, swear to me, by Hashem, in God's name, you will do with me kindness, just like I did kindness with you. I mean, it's barred over here. But in base avi chesed, you'll do with my father's house chesed. You will give me a sign of a true token, a token of kindness. Make for me show me a sign that when you come to conquer the city, you will let me make a sign. Let's make up a sign. So when you come to conquer, you'll know that don't attack this house. So I believe in you. I just saved your life. I did a kindness with you. I'm asking a kindness in return. I know that you're going to win. The achiyisim you should make to live. You should make sure that they don't kill. They end up living. As Avi, my father, as Imi, my mother, as Achi, and my brother, as and my sisters. As Kol Asher Lahem, and all that belongs to them, all the possessions. Save us from dying. And that is the end of Rachav's request from the 2 spies. And to hear the rest of the story, you'll have to join us tomorrow's class as we continue and find out what happens in the rest of the story. Any questions?